we're past the midway point of the season, and we've got some different names creeping to the top of different markets. So we thought it'd be nice, Snake, great producing, to kind of revisit and see where we would put our money now, or monies, depending on how you want to bet. So, Zach Attack, I'm going to start with you, big boy. So we're going to go Offensive Player of the Year. Here's what the odds look like. Christian McCaffrey currently is your betting favorite, tied with Tyreek Hill of the Dolphins. Where are you leaning in this category, sir?
I'm actually leaning for more of a long shot here with Jamar Chase. I think you look at how the Cincinnati Bengals are playing now. They're airing the football out much more, and that didn't happen the first month of the season. Joe Burrow clearly was not healthy. It took till that game, I think it was week 5 against the Arizona Cardinals, for Chase and Burrow to get going. And right now, you look at the receiving yards, he has 800 and some odd yards. I know Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown will have over 1,000, but that is really not that much for a player of Jamar Chase's capabilities. We saw a couple of years ago, he had 2 huge 200-plus yard games. Even last year, he finished the season strong. So I look at Jamar Chase and the way that Bengals offense is finally looking, he can close that gap and dwindled his odds. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 7-1, 8-1 in the 2 to 3 weeks.
All right, so we got one for Jamar Chase. Mikey B, where are you headed?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. I think it comes down to him or Tyreek Hill, but Hill doesn't exactly have the greatest of matchups. He's got 2 more games against the Jets, who have a great defense. He's got 1 against the Ravens. McCaffrey's just a touchdown machine. He's got 39 rushing attempts inside the red zone. It's just crazy. He's already over 1,000 combined yards. So I'll go with McCaffrey.
Mikey brings up a great point. See, you got to look at the matchups and who potentially could have the bigger games down the stretch, especially since they're tied right now.
You got to look at the matchups unless you're talking about a guy who is literally matchup proof in Tyreek Hill. And Coach, I have a question for you. Speaking of props, you hosted a little show that we did. It was in the preseason, if you will, about a week or 2 before the NFL season started. Yes. And I had a little receiver known by Tyreek Hill. Do you remember the odds for him to be the leading receiver, not Offensive Player of the Year, but leading in yards as at the wide receiver position?
I remember you loved it, and it was a really good number. I was a little bit shocked, but it's a really hard bet to win. What was it?
Yeah, it's a really hard bet to win. It was 10-1, and if he stays healthy, he's going to even if he doesn't stay healthy, he could miss a couple games and probably cruise to victory. So I'm going to stay consistent here, and I'm going to take Tyreek Hill as the Offensive Player of the Year. Just what he's doing, I think he could touch 2,000 yards, maybe. And by the way, I said that in that very show that he could touch there. So I like Tyreek Hill plus 140.
See, I don't know if I like the example that you're starting to show for our young man Buckets here, because the next level trash talk right now and the dropping of names and the dropping of nuggets from 2 months ago, it's starting to be a little bit irritating and next level. And I don't want Buckets to think that he can do this because it takes a lot of skill. Why haven't you said anything this morning? What are you doing? It's very eerie. You're not saying anything. Oh my God. Oh my God. I have this weird feeling that's coming over me right now. All right, let's switch it over to Defensive Player of the Year. Zach Attack, coming right back to you, because right now, here's what the numbers look like. Myles Garrett of the surprising Cleveland Browns just knocked off the Ravens. Micah Parsons right behind a plus 200. So where are we leaning for it? DPOW.
Yeah, this one here, I've got to go with Myles Garrett plus 175. As great as Micah Parsons is, and he came in second place last year, I think it's going to be the same situation, because you look at last year, Nick Bosa had 18 sacks, had the advantage of Parsons in that department, and that's where Garrett is headed. He has 11 sacks on the season, could finish in that similar range, and to me, being at the sports book every single Sunday, there was not a game of more of a standout performance than what Garrett did against the Indianapolis Colts. 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 in the end zone that the Browns jumped on, a blocked field goal in that game as well. That was the most dominant performance I've seen this year.
A lot of good nuggets right there, Mikey B. Where are you headed?
Yeah, I'm also on Myles Garrett. He's not only, in addition to the crazy sacks number, he's also got 9 tackles for a loss, which is tied for the 12th most in the league. He's the best player on one of the best defenses in the league. His 6th straight season with at least 10 sacks. I think this is the year he's finally recognized with the award.
Kind of feels that way. Counselor, are we going to make it 3 for 3?
No, we're not. We're going to go to Micah Parsons. I respect the Myles Garrett takes, but I mean, it just takes 1 or 2 games for Micah Parsons to sort of turn this narrative around. And we know Dallas Cowboys games, they get isolated in that 4 o'clock hour, sometimes in prime time. So I still like Micah Parsons. One thing we have to consider, listen, the Browns are really good. They proved that last week. Deshaun Watson looked pretty good too, but that AFC North is stacked. The AFC, not as stacked as we thought it might be, but the Browns are still live to potentially miss the playoffs, where that's not really a possibility for the Dallas Cowboys. And if the record starts to fall flat for the Cleveland Browns, I think you'll see a little bit more shift to Micah Parsons and company, just because they're flashing to and through the playoffs. So something to consider there.
Yeah, we talk about the matchups, right, Counselor? And you look at the remaining schedule for Dallas, they still have the Commanders, not a bad team, Seattle, a first-place team, Philadelphia, first-place team, Buffalo, they're still Buffalo, I guess, Miami, Detroit, and the Commanders again. That's a hard schedule. If they go through that really, really well and hold teams, I think Micah Parsons wins. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you said 2 against the Commanders. Now, Sam Howell's been much better with not taking the sacks. I mean, he's getting the ball out super fast, but you face that offensive line and you're Micah Parsons, you can stack some stats real quick.
Real quick. Love all those takes. Use the information for yourself. Hashtag knowledge is power. Now, the third and final award that we're going to tackle this morning, and full transparency, I'm going to play too, because yesterday I put my hard-earned money on a little quarterback. Well, he's not so little, out of Houston. I'm a believer before the sports books take him down to less than plus 1,000. Zach Attack, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think it really comes down to the top 2 there with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, the key matchup this week. I think Kansas City may win it, so these odds will go in Patrick Mahomes' favor. But in the long term, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts plus 300. I look at the schedule aspect of it. An easier schedule from the Philadelphia Eagles. You even look at the matchup against the Bills. The Bills are struggling right now at 5-5. San Francisco did get a win this week, but they had been struggling with 3 straight losses. And then they're going to finish the season 2 matchups against the Giants and 1 against an Arizona Cardinals team, which at that point in the season, you got to imagine Kyler Murray probably will not be on the field. So I think Jalen Hurts, with his dual threat capabilities, is going to be the best long-term option in the MVP race.
Are you aware that I have a showdown with EC and I have Mahomes and he has Jalen Hurts? That hurt. Your take just hurt. That just hurt. If I lose a year-long showdown to EC, I may take January off. I might. I can't handle that. I can't handle it.
I'll be ready, Coach.
Yeah, I know you will be, baby. He's like, we'll miss you. No, I'll step right in. We're good. I love this crew. Just ready to take everybody out. All right, Mikey B, we got one for either Hurts or Mahomes potentially. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to go with EC on anything, but I'll take Hurts simply because I'm looking at some matchups here we talked about. I'm going to eliminate Tua because he's got some tough defenses. I'm going to eliminate Lamar Jackson. He's got 4 games with fewer than 200 passing yards and 6 games with 1 or no combined touchdowns. So I think it does come down to Hurts or Mahomes. This is not the typical Mahomes season, so that's why I don't think he's Hurts completing almost 69% of his pass attempts this season. Add that to his rushing, the Eagles playing so well. I'm going to go with Hurts. Sorry, Coach. I don't mean to side with EC here. I don't try, really.
I still love you. I still love you. Mike Monahan says CJ Stroud is definitely worth a quarter of a unit, or maybe a quarter of a double sprinkle. I don't know. According to Uncle Dave, save me,
Coach. I'm gonna save you. Go ahead and book that flight to the Bahamas January 1st to February 1st, because I will be the host of the Early Edge. Listen, let's go back to that preseason special. Who was my MVP in that one? Yes, I had Tyreek Hill as the receiver with the most yards. I had Jalen Hurts as the MVP. That was at 10-1. The Tyreek Hill one was at 11-1. I don't really see much competition for Jalen Hurts if he stays healthy. This bye week came at such a good time because he's clearly limping, gimping on that knee. I don't know that he's going to be healthy coming out of the bye, but it's certainly going to help. And honestly, what he's doing, forget about the legs, what he's doing with his arm, with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, I guess, but particularly with A.J. Brown, it's just too much. It's overwhelming. I don't really see how Patrick Mahomes, Tua, or Lamar tie in here, or Burrow or Stroud, unless they completely go off. I love the Stroud take. I just don't think he's going to actually win it.